President. We're going to give him 2 more seconds. Miss. Okay, Cheslin, are you hearing us?
Okay, I am here now. My apologies. Thank you, Tamoy and Isheba. And good afternoon to my fellow youth and all who have tuned into the NSSC's Student Leaders Virtual Chit Chat. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are very pleased that all of you took the time out to attend. And I also want to wish you all a happy International Students Day. International Students Day is celebrated all around the world on November 17th. It focuses on ensuring education is available for all students and urges for students to have a voice on the matters that affect their education. November 17th was chosen to be International Students Day due to the events unfolded in Prague during World War II. 9 students were executed without trial in concentration camps on this day in 1939 because they spoke out against Czech Republic for being a Nazi protection country. The protest was aimed to return the country back to being a republic where the citizens, especially the youth, have a voice. Across the world, this day is an opportunity to demonstrate why the youth is important and to display multiculturalism and diversity. Countries organize several events on International Students Day to encourage youth engagement and development. You as well can conduct events on International Students Day by participating in any event which involves youth engagement and development. You may even spread the word about the importance of International Students Day by sharing it on social media and telling your friends and family. I hope today's session will empower you to rethink as you position to dominate the digital realm. Now I will hand over to our host for this afternoon, Ms. Isheba Cornwall and Mr. Tamoy Campbell.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I think everyone really feels super welcomed and we're educated about the motivation behind this initiative and really what International Students Day is all about. It's amazing, Isheba, that we're coming from a place where young people weren't allowed to speak out and to just kind of tell what's happening and advocate. And now in 2020, we're changing the world. We're leaders. We're just doing amazing things and we're taking up space. So thank you so much for that, Mr. President. Now, I think Isheba has a little surprise, a little giveaway.
Look here now, man. You know, so it cannot be an NSSC event if we don't have giveaways, okay? And so we want all the individuals who have digital phone, yes. We want all the individuals who have digital phone to take out your phone right now because we're going to be calling some numbers and you just want to, you know, punch it in your phone and probably get a little credit, is what I say. Yeah, man. So we're going to start now. I'm going to 2 seconds. 2 seconds. 1, 2, ready, let's go. 4 5 3 9 1 2 3 9 6 4 1 4 4. Tell me if I went too fast or if somebody got the credit. Let me know in the chat. Nobody got the credit?
You probably go too fast, Isheba.
Oh, somebody got it.
That's Roxanne.
Wait, no, I'm seeing Ridiani Bahari. We're so sorry if we pronounced the name, you know, wrong, but congratulations. We hope you enjoy your digital credit. And so we're going to jump right into it, right?
Yes.
All right, so we're going to be welcome to all those joining us. Give me 1 second. Let me admit the individuals who are coming in because we don't want them to miss this amazing event. So welcome to all the individuals who are joining us. Welcome to the National Secondary Students Council Student Leaders Virtual Chit Chat. We'll be focusing on the theme, Rethink Youth, Students Positioned to Dominate the Digital Realm. We are living in unique times, and so this calls for this conversation.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to jump right in. We'll be hearing from Mr. Javaughn Keyes. If you were here with us earlier, you would have, heard me introduce him. But I'm going to just speak a little more on Javaughn. So he is now a broadcast reporter / producer and presenter with the RJR Gleaner Group. He joined the TVJ newsroom in May 2019, and since then he has been, designated to carry out numerous responsibilities, a part of his core duties of writing and producing stories on multiple areas for the TVJ's primetime news, among others. Now, in addition to this, outside of broadcast communication, Javaughn has served in numerous leadership capacities. He was the head boy of St. Jago High School in 2017, and in the same year, he received the Governor General's Achievement Award for Excellence in Leadership and Academics. Please help me welcome to our virtual stage, Mr. Javaughn Keyes.
Again, thank you so much, Isheba. Good afternoon, everyone. I mean, it's a pleasure being in the space of NSSC, especially as a past NSSC representative. I served the NSSC back in 2016 to 17 as one of the regional vice presidents for Region 6. But I've been a students council for all my high school life. So technically, I was always a part of the NSSC family sharing. And I mean, even after I left high school in 2017, I would have been doing training sessions with NSSC, and it's always a pleasure. I'm also pleased to be joining the esteemed other presenters, Dainalyn Swaby. Congratulations again, her recent Shevening journey just came to an end. And also Nicholas Key, brilliant programmer who would have conceptualized a number of online platforms, including one that we use to track the election data from the recent election. So today, my presentation is about public speaking and communication. And interestingly, this is one of the few times I've gotten to do this presentation since we've transitioned virtually due to COVID-19. I've had to do this presentation a number of times before, engaging with persons as it relates to physical public speaking engagements. But with the new paradigm of online and Zoom and so on, I'm really happy to be doing this presentation. So we talk about today's objectives. Really, we're going to look at why public speaking is important and why it's important to communicate generally. We're going to look at how to do so effectively, because that's important as a communicator, to do so and do so effectively. And we're going to be looking at careers in communication, how you can use your skill, your innate skill for communication to make some cash as well, and what my experience has been in the field. So when we think about communication, and every time I do this session, I kind of gauge what I hear from people. People think about a couple of things. And because usually at this juncture, I would say, guys, I want to hear from all of you, so throw your words at me. But we're not going to be able to do that. But I'm going to tell you some of the things that people say when they hear the word public speaking and they hear the term. So some people think Barack Obama. Some people think nerves. Some people think speeches, some people think large audiences, some people think journalists, some people think class presentations, leadership, presence, but the sum total of it all is communication. Now, with the virtual sense of things have changed somewhat, or have they? Now, when people think about public speaking and presentations, they think about Zoom. They think about Blackboard Collaborate, and the US students are those who plan to go to you're going to hear Blackboard Collaborate until you're blue. You think about Google Classroom, which is something that many of you are utilizing now as you go ahead in your own learning spaces at school. But again, the sum total of it is communication, how to effectively bring across a message to a group of persons, and that's public speaking, simply. Now, when you think about public speaking, you want to look at what are you going to be doing and how should you develop this skill. Now, when developing this skill, you want to be able to make present, you want to develop this skill because you, in your own spaces, will have to do multiple things which require you to use this skill. So as counselors, as head students, and whatever space you lead in, you're going to have to make presentations to your local councillors, to your prefects, to the regional councillors, to the national executive. You're going to have to make presentations on behalf of or to different groups, and especially in this time of COVID-19, where many of our main stakeholders in the Students' Council realm or students are not connected, you're going to have to advocate. And that's going to be a big part of where you have to make presentations to your boards, to your different groups, to ensure that you have representation for all your stakeholders. You also use public speaking to motivate, because especially again in this time where there's so many people who feel somewhat despondent and as if it's a time where they cannot go on. You need to motivate and you need to convince, and public speaking is a means of doing that. So let's talk about some of the things you have to think about in public speaking, irrespective of the space, be it physical or virtual. You have to think about the event. The event and what the purpose of the event is very important. You can't just say, boy, I'm gonna do a speech, you know, I'm just gonna do a speech so because me just want to do it. You have to think about to whom you're gonna be speaking, your audience and content are key areas of your public speaking preparation. You have to think about who you're gonna talk to. You have to think about the size of the audience, if it's a physical event more than a virtual. Because the thing with virtual events is you're not so much daunted by the size of your audience, because you could be speaking to 1,000 people, but you're not seeing them, you're looking to a camera. But if it's a physical space, you want to think about your preparation as to how you're gonna engage with your audience, because a big part of public speaking and engagement in communication is your audience and how your audience will wrap with the content that you're bringing forward. Your audience don't get it, you're in problem. You want to now consider the desired outcome. What do I want you to leave with at the end of my presentation? And that will help you to craft how you go about preparing. You have to do your research. No matter how you feel like you know it, no matter how you feel like you have it packed, you do this every day, research helps because it gets you to be comfortable with the content that you're telling people about, and it also makes you credible. And the more credible you are, the more likely it is that people will listen to what you have to say, and people will take what you have to say for the value it brings. Now, you want to organize your thoughts whenever you're going to be doing any kind of public speaking engagement. Ensure that it's clear, it's coherent, people can follow what you say. You know, if you talk about Spanish Town and you're gone all the way to London, you want to be able to ensure that people are following clearly what you're saying and use examples so people can understand. All right. So if you're talking about something, please ensure that your examples are relevant and they're not flying over people's head, because again, what's core to us communicating? That's right. What's core to public speaking? That's right. Communication. You want people to follow what you're saying. Good. So as I said, as a part of your preparation, you have to consider your environment. So you know that certain different preparations will take place if it is a physical event versus a virtual event. You plan your approach based on that, and you practice, you prepare, and you practice. Now, some people take it for granted, say, "Oh, I just want a little speech me in a class, me no need to prepare." And then the nerves lick you, and you go up, they go flap. We as NSSC and student leaders, we're not anticipating any flopping in here. So we're preparing you to go out there and shine. Be responsible students of excellence. So you prepare and you practice. All right. So one of the major things with communication is this: if you're not confident, your audience will not believe what you are saying. So you could be preaching the gospel and preaching facts and figures and things that people must know and be cognizant of. But if you don't sound like you're sure, your audience not go sure either. So exude confidence. One of my choir directors in high school used to say, you better be wrong and strong. Now we're preparing you to not be wrong and strong. You're going to be right and strong, but be confident, okay? Now, if it is that you're going to be physical and virtual, think about how you dress. Be comfortable. You don't want nothing to constrict, nothing you can't talk because the tie too tight, or the chain or choker or whatever those fancy fandangles be too tight so you can't talk. You don't want anything that's too distracting for your audience. You want to ensure that people are concentrating on what you're saying. In this virtual space, more than ever, you want to test your equipment. That was always important. So if you have a thumb drive, you want to make sure your thumb drive actually working at the people in machine and it not go flop you, so you test it before. You want to make sure the music where you want cue in your presentation actually work, and not have the music there for puppy show because it not go working at the presentation. You have to be mindful of those things. You want to ensure you check your background. You know, one bag of fandangles the back of you, where all people look on where they behind you and not focus on what you say. You want to ensure that where you are as well is somewhere where you won't have lots of noise distractions. Sometimes you can't avoid it, but you want to be cognizant of that. Always have a backup. So if it's a physical presentation you're doing and you have it on your laptop, and even at you, it's not just about the big presentations, but I know that many times students come to the presentations in class and they say, oh, me have it on my laptop. Me don't need to have it physically, and then internet pop down, laptop crash all of a sudden, because laptops are so infamous to crashing when presentations are to be done. So all sort of things happen. So you make sure you have it by your thumb drive, you save it up in the cloud, by your Google Drive or your OneDrive or whatever cloud platform you use, have it printed. And my other backup in this day and age, have data. Sometimes it hard, been rough, but don't just rely on the two, entities that we have here. We're not gonna call them name, but to know exactly what me I talk about, because they will have their challenges. So just in case the Wi-Fi decides say, well, I'm gonna sleep in your presentation, have data to back up so you can keep connected. Now, one of the things you want to be aware of is on the day of the presentation, be early. So you can do your technical checks, you can do your run-throughs, you get comfortable, you can relax a little bit. You can make the heart not always have to go so. You relax a little bit, all right? To be aware of the space, be aware of your audience. In a physical space, I like to observe my audience. So I like to see my audience and see who will probably give me like a problem in the presentation, because I'm a jealous presenter. I like when people pay attention to me, right? So you want to be able to scout that out. But in the virtual sense, again, you don't have that luxury necessarily, but still you have to be able to measure the engagement. You want to do your mental run through. So think about what the effect you want to have on the audience, how you're going to achieve that in your presentation, and consider your 4 P's. And by your 4 P's, we're talking about your pitch. We're talking about how high or how low your voice is. We're talking about your pace, how fast or how slow. You want to talk about projection. So how loud and how soft you're speaking, your ability to modulate, go up and go down. And we're talking about as well your pauses. Now, your pauses are important and they're very good and effective in communication, but you don't want to overuse your pauses. They must be strategic. Remember, in communication, everything communicates, everything sends a message. Your body language is important. So once we cover that, let's do it. We go in and we have our presentation. Be mindful of all of those things. You smile before you start your presentation. If it's a physical space, you move deliberately. You be purposeful. You bring across an energy. All right? In a virtual space, look to camera, because you always want to ensure that people feel like you're looking at them and you're not looking down at the paper or looking down. I mean, it's a little difficult, but you want to engage as much as possible. When you're looking directly to the camera, people look like you look on them. Yes, are you me I look on? Are you? Yeah, man, are you me I talk to? All right, you want to command the audience. So you want to grab them. So in this virtual space, just in case somebody down in the kitchen a cook, yes, you may talk, Mary, we're down in the kitchen a cook right now. Me know you hear me. So you want them to be able to move from what they're doing and focus on you. All right. So because your messaging is key. All right. So proper pronunciation is also important. We have to work on that. Appropriate grammar is very important as well. And always remember, the messaging is key. Your posture is important. We don't want no slouching, even in the physical space as well. If you have a lectern, not a podium, there's something, that board, something there, glass, them fancy something there. Yes, the lectern, you don't want to be leaning over too much unless it's deliberate and you want to be using it, show an example of what not to do. Lean up. You exude confidence by having proper posture and so on. And time is important. So as I'm recognizing that I have 4 minutes, I have to make sure it's my time on point. But at the end of the day, you want to be yourself. Don't put on to say I try to be nobody. Don't try to be a Archibald Gordon. Don't try to be a Javaughn Keyes. Don't try to be a anybody. You try to be yourself. You can take best practices and principles from what you see them doing, but don't try to be a carbon copy of anybody else. Be yourself. Now, the more you speak, the more you engage with public speaking, the more comfortable you become, the more commanding you can become, and the more you be your best self as a public speaker, all right? So you want to be mindful of that. Now, as it relates to careers in media and communication, my esteemed colleague, Dainalyn Swaby, is also a communication person, and she can tell you about some of these careers as well, but you have lots that you can do. So from my experience, and I give you a little joke, I started in media and communication before I left high school, and I say that because St. Jago gave me the opportunity to write lots of stories and so on as a part of our media group, but not every school have that. So I was one of the lucky few who had that opportunity. So any opportunity you get to write and practice your skill and the voiceovers, them time somebody just asked me to read something. You never know what name, but eventually you recognize, and I recognize that the skills that I acquired and the things that I started doing were very, very, very crucial to the work I do now. So as you can become a speechwriter, you can become a motivational speaker, you can become an author, a communication strategist, digital strategists, and these careers are very, very pivotal in this day and age. You can become a marketer, a broadcast journalist, an integrated marketing communication specialist. And that means you're able to maneuver the different spaces of communication and come together to create fulsome communication plans and strategies. And that's what my degree is in, actually. Yet I'm a journalist, and that's a story for a whole other day. You can become a broadcast announcer. Like for me, I don't just do news, I do sports. And my specialization in sports is that if you've listened to the Boys and Girls Championships anytime within the last 4 years or so, you would have heard me on radio as one of the voices for champs. And that was even before I had my degree, but it's about practicing and developing that skill. Because people realize, say, boy, you know, him can chat and him know him must say, and he's very good at what he does. So then we call him if he come in and do events and MC events and those things. And the reality is, in this day and age, you want to be able to leverage your natural and innate skills to not just develop others around you, because that's important, but you want to also look at how you can earn from your innate skills, and you have the ability to do that through public speaking. So I was able to do voiceovers. My first ever voiceover, I got paid $10,000, and that was a few years ago. I mean, like, but wait, you know, there's an opportunity here, you know, and I was able to leverage those skills to do other things. Broadcast producer, which is what I do, which means I'm in charge of, for example, the recent election program. I was one of the broadcast producers in charge of the national election programs at Television Jamaica. So that's a part of what you can do as a communicator. You can become a professor, you can become a YouTuber, and don't take it for granted. There are people who I know have quit their full-time jobs. I can use, for example, Kalila Reynolds. She is an excellent business reporter, and she was able to leave her full-time job to go into becoming a YouTuber, a business and finance YouTuber. So there are opportunities there. You can become content creators for websites, for blogs. You can become graphic designers. So many things you can venture into. So, I mean, there is a lot that you can take on by sharpening your skills in communication and broadcast and journalism and public speaking. So don't make nobody tell you say you chat too much. Hone that skill, control that skill, own the space, get qualifications where you can say you can go CPTC, you can go to UE and do your degree in communication, but be your best self, exude confidence, and be excellent as excellent as you can as a communicator in your own space. So, I don't want to chat out too much. If you have any questions at all, you can, you know, shoot them. Thank you so much.
Wow. Javaughn, look here. I am speechless. I am speechless. I absolutely loved Javaughn's presentation. And it's not even his passion. It's not even him talking, you know, giving information. It's his passion for me. It's a passion for me. Okay, love to see it, love to hear it. Now, Javaughn, you know that I'm an integrated marketing communications student at the University of the West Indies. So me listening to you talking now, it just have a buzz. It have a buzz for me, and I love to see it. Now, what I love that you did, Javaughn, you told us about the opportunities that are there for students to venture off into the communication sphere. But what I want the students listening right now on this Zoom call is that you do not have to wait until you reach university. You do not have to wait until you are 25 and 30 to venture off into things like this. Me, Tamoy and I are here right now. And we're hosting this event.
My age, as I said, that I'm just 22, by the way. So believe
Javaughn is just 22.
Yeah.
No, I can relate to Javaughn as well because I started this media, you know, persona kind of thing, talking when I was 15. And because of that, I actually traveled to New York. Look here, type in the chat if everybody know High School Musical. If you know what High School Musical is, type it in the chat and say yes. You know High School Musical. Now, at the age of 15, I was able to travel to New York and I was able to interview Monique Cameron, I think her name is, from High School Musical. Look here, I never know in my life I'd be able to do that. And so I'm telling you that you don't have to wait until you're 25. As Javaughn said, he's 22. These opportunities are there for you. I also want you to understand that during this Corona time, Tamoy, you realize every company now asking for, communication specialist or marketer and stuff like that. Guys, look here, look here, Tamoy.
I should be
Come
well
talk before-
excited, everybody. And it's just amazing because you just have to realize that you don't have to wait so long to do what you want to do. But you know, I like what Javaughn said, you need to learn, so you need to earn from what you're doing, because that's also important, securing the bag, but also improving other persons, but don't cut yourself short. Full of chatting, you not take it back. So if you love to talk, if you love to sing, whatever you have to do, pursue your passion unapologetically with everything in you, and be like a Javaughn, be like Isheba, and fly go New York and all of that jazz. Ensure that whatever you're doing, you just do it awesome and be great at it. And I just love it. I just love Javaughn. Top tier, honestly. It was really, really, really good. And I saw Theodore making notes. I just want to say hi, Theodore. I want to say hi, Kristen. Hi, Adoria, Janelle, Alenia. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Is that JD? Oh, no, that's nice. Gabriel, big up on yourself.
And because Theodore Green, yes, you were so attentive. We see you interacting. Although you're not saying anything, you know, we see you. You see, remember, Javaughn talked about posture and everything, and we saw that you were in tune with what's happening right here. And you see, because of that, we're going to give you something. Don't go away, no, we're going to give you something. All right, so we'll message you about that. Don't worry. He's so happy. So you see, guys, that is why you have to turn on your camera. You have to interact with us so that we know that you're there. And so just like that, no, we're going to run right into the next presentation.
All right, everybody. So still take out your pens, still take out your books, and we're going to welcome now this amazing, phenomenal person, Mr. Nicholas Keyes. So Nicholas Keyes is the co-founder and executive director of Next Gen Creators, a nonprofit organization aimed at promoting the learning of digital literacy skills for youth in the Caribbean. Nicholas, in 2017, was the Prime Minister's Youth Award for Entrepreneurship, and in 2016, he received the Queen's Young Leaders Runner-Up Award recipient. Since the beginning of his career, he has launched companies in the sectors of education, marketing, big data, 3D and 4D printing. He has had the honor of working with NASA, CERN, CERN, Red Cross International, and the United Nations on renewable energy-related projects and policy reform for developing countries and refugee camps. He is now the Jamaica Youth Ambassador to the Commonwealth and aims to give voice to the concerns highlighted throughout the diaspora, while empowering generations of youths to play an active role in their country's development. His primary focuses within his role are economic development and opportunity, technology, and education. In this role, he highlights the importance of technology and digital literacy in societies of developing countries in the Commonwealth. He spends the majority of his time consulting with various government agencies and private organizations throughout the diaspora to help implement technological solutions into their societies. Everybody, can you type like a star or a smiley face or something to welcome our amazing presenter, Mr. Nicholas Keyes? And you can clap like Theodore.
Well, we hope Nicholas is here. We're seeing some messages in the chat. Ree, can you let us know if Nicholas is here? Mr. Key, are you here with us? Are you hearing us?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hold on, give me a sec. It should be on.
Right, we're seeing you.
Oh, great. I was actually supposed to go last, but I guess, I mean, we're already here.
We're going with the flow. Let's do it.
I guess we are. All right. So, hi everyone. Let me just adjust this real quick. Hi everyone. As the moderators had already given my introduction, just giving you a little spiel. I'm Nicholas Keyes. I happen to be not as young as as Javaughn, but almost there. I'm currently 25 and I've been in the technology space for the past, I'd say this is what, over 15 years now. I started coding at the age of 12. And so my interest more or less kind of grew because of just pure curiosity. And so it has more or less paid off in the grand scheme of things, because we happen to be moving towards a more digital ecosystem and environment. And so what I want to share with you guys, mainly, I want to do two things, or rather, I think I want to accomplish two things. I want to kind of expose you to some of the possibilities within tech with respect to where it's going now, and probably just kind of piggyback off some of the lessons of technology and give you a little deep dive into its history. And I kind of want to expose you also to the spaces in which you can flourish right now in the tech ecosystem with respect to becoming more educated as an independent learner, and earning a living within tech. I started coding at 12, and I happened to start earning money from doing said craft at the age of 13, like a couple months after, really. And so I kind of want to give you guys that kind of, I guess, that jolt and that opportunity to get into the space and to, be more curious about it, especially now, since we will be here for a while, or rather for the foreseeable future. I mean, this is it, especially since we're going to be inside. So give me 1 second. I should have shared permissions to share my screen. Yes, I do. Okay. All right.
Okay, everyone. So while Nicholas shares his screen, can you type in the text box and tell us, what you have learned from the session so far, and how are you feeling towards Nicholas's presentation? Are you excited? You can't wait? Let us know in the chat box while Nicholas goes ahead and share his screen. So I'm seeing messages coming in. Sajira, I hope I pronounced that properly, saying that she's excited. Everybody's excited. Wow, the messages keep coming in. Love to see it. Damia is saying, can't wait. Guys, look here. You're making my day, okay? You're making my day. Yes, Nicola started coding at the age of 12. Can you believe that? I don't even know a line of code. And I'm big 19-year-old. Love to see it. Nicholas is ready now. He's sharing his screen. So I'm going to hand back over to Nicholas. Go ahead, Mr. Key.
Sure. Hold on. Actually, I have two screens. I'm going to switch the positions. Okay. Are you seeing the right screen? Yes, let me know.
Yes, Nicholas.
Great. All right. Let me just put this over here as well. Okay, everyone. So here we are. As mentioned before, moving forward, this will be our modality. But I don't think that it should be technology as a whole shouldn't necessarily be viewed as just a tool, but it should be viewed throughout the lens of philosophy in some respects. And so when we think about technology, we should really frame it within the context of the byproduct of humanity. Just as how bees, of course, have their byproduct, which is honey, which we ultimately consume to some respect. And so the same can be said for humans. Technology historically has been our byproduct, not necessarily in its current form as what we are exposed to right now, but it can be seen as something as, I guess, benign and simplistic as fire, or the adventation or the creation of like tools such as the hammer, or just like a wooden stick to be used as a hammer, that is. And so as we progress exponentially throughout the time, I believe that the next 10 to 20 or even 50 years will be will be pretty exciting, because we're not necessarily going to be seeing a gradual shift in how technology has played out throughout humanity, but we'll be seeing an exponential shift. And so it's pretty exciting stuff. And I kind of just want to expose some of that to you guys. All right. So where are we coming from? Of course, I'm not sure if any of you even recognize any of these images, because I'm now acknowledging the fact that majority of you are significantly younger than me, or probably in your teens. But this is essentially where we more or less started. Even though I wasn't alive, even though I wasn't alive, vacuum tubes were the talk of the day. That is the image in the top left-hand corner that you should be seeing, where the two men standing with these like huge, I guess, table or standing frames next to it. So that's like the vacuum tube era, and so that is run on a lot of like old technology related to punch cards, for instance, if you're familiar with those. Moving forward, if you just move down the line following the arrows, then we had the transistor era, and that relied on transistors, which relied on electrical impulses. They weren't necessarily as complicated as they are now. It was more or less basic logic gate operations. And no, I might be jumping over some heads, but logic gates just indicate zeros and ones, and the zeros and ones more or less give an indication whether or not something is on and off. Many of you who probably have taken like an IT class or maybe physics especially are familiar to this. And of course, in today's era, logic gate theory is advanced and more complex and convoluted in its form. It's not just a basic 0 and 1. I've seen comments about logic gates. The next era came in the form of integrated circuits. And you can see that just following the same arrow, which is next. And so that relied mainly on a bunch of transistors that are connected together via a semiconductive material to produce like complex logic in its form that is, I guess at the time would have been comparable to you being able to like push a button to toast your bread in some respects, or in some instances use it for like typewriter technology. And so that relied on high-level programming languages, not the ones that you're probably used to know. For those of you who are probably already exposed to tech in some respects, like Pascal probably rings a bell, but that's not where that system was at the time. Moving forward, was of course microprocessors, Python. Somebody said Python. Woot woot. Integrated circuits relied on, microprocessors relied on a single silicon chip. Oh, whoops. Let me actually disconnect this right now, because you're getting my messages. Yes, so microprocessors relied on a single silicon chip, and that is essentially when we had the dawn of the internet. And I'm not sure how many of you were even around then, but the internet really became fancy. Let me just log out. There we go. The internet really became fancy around the years like 1995-ish or a little earlier, and then moving into the early 2000s with like the dot-com boom. And so now we are now at the 5th generation of computing, which is essentially a bit I wouldn't want to say esoteric, but it delves into the realm of, I guess, things that are scary and exciting and new and completely out of realm of what the average Joe is probably used to. Okay, before we delve into, I guess, the future, I kind of wanted to give you like a schematic of how technology really interacts with devices and by extension us. So as mentioned before, in the last slide, some of the past generations of computers relied mainly on, well, at least the newer ones relied on high-level programming languages. Before you got to that stage, what you had was like problem-solving methodologies for you to then get to that programming language stage. And that looked like you creating something called like a user story. And that essentially kind of delves into, or I guess is analogous to the questions that you may probably remember from like math class with respect to, like, if John has 7 apples and Mary asks John for the 2 apples and John gives Mary 2 apples, how many are left? Of course, it's more complicated than that, but that is like a scenario of a user story that would be turned into a problem-solving framework for you to then turn into logic, which then becomes an algorithm. And an algorithm is essentially a number of an execution of a number of steps or instructions that are computed by devices that can actually compute. So computers in this framework, that is. The automation piece is where things become a bit more nuanced. And so that delves into the, I guess, a proliferation and the development of algorithms and the execution of algorithms in, I guess, a more, an automated way, an automatic way. So it's I guess, this is like basically artificial intelligence, for lack of better terms. I'm not going to dive too deep into that just yet because I have other slides to kind of expose you to that. And I have a bit of a surprise demo. But that is essentially the framework for technology as it is set up right now. There we go. Somebody basically gave the definition of an algorithm, a sequence of instructions. Perfect. Glad that you're following, Diana. All right, so what does technology look like today? Or rather, what will it look like? No, you're probably used to the basic interface. You probably are, majority of you rather, are probably already on your laptops or your desktop devices, or some of you might be on your phones. That is basically old news at this point. The regular websites that you're probably exposed to, you know, YouTube, sure, Facebook, social media, the learning websites like Coursera, and just any website that you can think of that you use to interact with on a daily basis to acquire information and to execute tasks. Those are basically old news. And so we're moving into this era where we're seeing a lot of, we're being exposed to things that we don't necessarily understand completely, but we're taking a risk and we're taking a chance to further explore it because it produces a lot of exciting results. So on the list here, there's IoT computing, which is like Internet of Things. To kind of give you a breakdown or to give you at least at a high level what that looks like practically is all of those sensors that are being used to like detect whether or not you are probably at a premises or detect whether or not you are probably at a particular door, and then you'll probably have a security system being chipped on from that. That is like IoT territory. And it could also delve into thermostat usage or thermostats generally that maintain a particular temperature and humidity range in your household, or robots that clean your house. So like robot vacuums. So that's like IoT territory. Virtual reality or VR and AR by extension, which is augmented reality. I really should have put MR as well, which is mixed reality, but we can delve into that as well, if anything. That is essentially what you've been probably seeing in the popular or just pop media for extension. And so that is probably what you've been looking at when, or rather been seeing when you see people put goggles over their face. And so you can either assume that is probably virtual reality or augmented reality. I'll be just looking in the chat. Just give me an indication whether or not you've either seen this or have experienced it yourself, whether it be just using a virtual reality headset. I'll just move on and just read the results later. Artificial intelligence. This is this is the scariest piece, the scariest and most exciting piece. What we're exposed to now is called narrow AI. And so that is essentially us just pinging devices or pinging algorithms at its core to try to get it to automate particular tasks, okay? What we haven't really been exposed to just yet is something called general AI. And that is when that kind of delves into like, I don't really want to say this, but like Terminator movie, I guess, frameworks, or in this case, territory. And so that's where you'll have like robots taking over, for lack of better words. But of course, that is the scary dystopia. There's another flip reality where artificial intelligence can be used for good, much more in, I guess, the helpful form where you probably see them guiding us along the way to do majority of our heavy lifting tasks. Somebody said they were confused. So artificial intelligence delves into like robotics, for instance, or like simple things like trying to think. Simple things like your camera being able to focus on you, or in this case, focus on me, while possibly giving a blur background. So it's things like face detection, or even your iPhone or Android cameras, where you see boxes surrounding your face when you're planning to take a photo. That is essentially the work of artificial intelligence. And of course, you have like various, like an entire spectrum of like artificial intelligence types and archetypes that I can delve into, but I'm not necessarily going to be doing that today. But I will kind of touch on voice recognition, which is essentially a type of artificial intelligence. Oh, forgive me, my speaker turned off. Yeah, which is a form and type of artificial intelligence that is very popular right now because we have the advent of things like Siri and OK Google from your Android devices. Okay, so yes, Bixby for Samsung and Alexa. Yes, you're all absolutely right. I just want to confirm that you guys can still hear me because I did disconnect a device. Yes, you should be able to hear me. Perfect. All right. So what you're looking at here is virtual reality. In some respects, this is me rendering an image of myself. I did this in like a very fancy lab overseas in New York. But this is essentially me rendering images of myself to create an avatar for a game I created, a virtual reality game. You probably can't show you the game, unfortunately, because of legal issues with respect to me not necessarily owning it. But this is like a touch of it, or this is a touch of what the development of virtual reality programs look like. So you have to render yourself if you want to make yourself an avatar. You have to actually code the framework or the environment for that avatar to exist. And then you also have to create the assets or various images that you can use that you can have to interact with your avatar. So in this case, I can use my avatar like an entire makeup of myself to be in a game that allows me to scale waterfalls or allows me to do rock climbing. There are a few immersive games like that. Hopefully we can get more of that introduced into Jamaica because it is pretty exciting stuff, to be honest. And so the next thing, this is augmented reality. This is me with the headset on, one of the augmented reality headsets on. This is back in, which year was this, 2014? Yes, this was back in 2014. I think I was 19 at the time. Oh, 4 minutes. I think I was 19 at the time. And so I had created this, I'd created the first augmented reality Instagram game where you'd be able to basically take an image from your feed, blow it up and interact with it in a sphere around you. The next thing I want to show you is, this is called, it's an armband, it's a smart armband. And so this is an IoT device. I use it to create a rock, paper, scissors game, but this device specifically can be used for those from the disabled community or those who are probably missing limbs who want to interact with the rest of the world. Okay, the next thing, I'm not even sure if I'm going to have the time to show you, but I'm going to try. This is a bot I created with an organization called Jamaicans for Justice. Her name is Stacy, and Stacy is a human rights virtual assistant. Okay, I know I have about a few minutes left, but I want to see if I can do a quick demo, and I'm also going to ask for probably an extra 2 minutes if possible. But okay, there we go. So this is Stacy. And so Stacy is a human rights virtual assistant, as mentioned before. Stacy, hold on. I think I have more than one windows open. Hold on. There we go. Yes, so Stacy essentially, yes, Stacy was created by not just myself, but of course our team. I lead a team that helped to create Stacy. So with Stacy, you're able to ask questions about the law with respect to your human rights. This was a problem that we found, especially now, like at the beginning of the state of emergency and the ZOSO operations, we found that the general public didn't really understand their rights. And so this is what prompted it. So if you interact with Stacy or just ask her some questions like, what is cruelty to a child? She'll produce a response. She'll say like, cruelty to a child takes place where an adult is responsible to da-da-da. You can read it, of course. But she's in her infancy stage, so I'm not really even going to pressure her too much. And so she's just learning a lot of things. And this, for artificial intelligence, this is exactly what it looks like. This is called sentimental analysis. I won't delve into that further, but it takes a lot of time to train artificial intelligence. But yeah, let me just jump back into my presentation to kind of wrap up. There we go. Yes, so with that said, that is more or less my presentation. I know I wanted to expose you to, I guess, some opportunities within tech, but I think that can come in the Q&A section or the panelist section when we have it. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. We really, really appreciate it. Isheba, I was sitting here and my paper, there's no space, guys. You can't even see it. I made so many notes. It was so amazing. I learned about algorithms, artificial intelligence. Like, I use Siri for everything. Hey Siri, what is this to that? Hey Siri. See, she even answering right now. And that's just amazing how tech is just all around us. But you know what, Nick? I liked how you made it seem that tech is more than just ones and zeros, and we're not just crouched down in a lab, but we can use tech to impact the world around us.
I'm having trouble with this.
I was serious, guys. But I really loved how we can use the tech to impact other areas like law. I am a law student, so already I just got super excited. And I saw Darren there in the chat who wants to be an attorney. So hope I see you at the faculty soon. And it's just amazing how we can use technology to educate people and inform them about their rights and things that are important. And also how you used, I think, the watch to help the disabled community. My heart was like, oh my gosh. And I think the message to us, everyone here, is that you can use your passion, you can use the skills that you have and impact the world. You can see all the problems around you and see, how am I going to use what I learned and what I'm about to just make all the changes and just, just be happy and make the place just nice. And just let Nicholas gold stars for you. It was just really awesome. And I saw lots of persons were very much impressed. I didn't really like Pascal and IT stuff in high school, but I think now I have a change of heart. See, Kristen all giving you claps and everybody was just taking notes. So you guys can just type in the chat what you thought. If it was cool, it was impressive, maybe one of you would be the next Steve Jobs, maybe upgrade my Siri and all. But anyways, Nicholas, thank you so much. We really do appreciate, it is just top tier. Hashtag top tier. Hashtag tech is it. So Isheba,
Yes.
I have a little prize for the people.
All right, so we're good. All right, so thank you so much for that, Nicholas. Really do appreciate you coming here. Now we're going to ask Theodore Green as well as Kristen Thelwell to DM us on Instagram at NSSC_JA. We have something for you. Make sure you send us your name. Make sure so we know say you. Send us your name as well as your number, right? DM us on Instagram right now at NSSC_JA. Kristen, yes. All right. So guys, we're running right through because we have one more presenter and the time is going. Now I have a giveaway for you. Now this giveaway will be done by my social enterprise. Empower Youth Tees, we're the source of locally produced t-shirts, and we produce nice t-shirts with empowering quotes written in Jamaican patois. Now, if you want to win a t-shirt from my business, all you have to do is follow Empower Youth Tees on Instagram right now, guys. I'm sending you the link right now. Follow us on Instagram as well as tag 3 friends in the last post that we made and tell us what you liked from Nicholas's presentation. Make sure you put the hashtag NSSC so we know that you're coming from here, right? And make sure you tag the NSSC page as well. So ready again, you're following Empower Youth Tees on Instagram. You're tagging 3 of your friends, telling us what you liked about Nicholas's presentation. You're tagging NSSC. All right, let's go. We're running now to the next the next presenter.
I'm excited, but I'm really excited.
All right, so our next speaker is the culture queen who hails from the parish of many firsts, St. Elizabeth. In 2017, Dainalyn Swaby was the first in 55 years to have claimed the national title of Miss Jamaica Festival Queen for the Breadbasket Parish. A seasoned communication practitioner, her current area of focus includes mainstreaming of climate awareness. Through her work with local and international development projects, Dainalyn, a 2019 Shivnin scholar, recently completed her master's in global communication and development at Loughborough University in London. Dainalyn continues on her journey to enrich the lives of people through her various service roles, which includes Vice President for the Rotary Club of St. Andrew, Talk Up Radio co-host, motivational speaker, founder of the Learn, Earn, Return Entrepreneurship Project, climate change advocate. Dainalyn is the creator and host of Global Yadi, a riveting podcast series that explores climate and sustainable development issues with people across the globe. No, yes, woot, 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 Rotary. No, I want you to welcome Miss Dainalyn Swaby to our virtual stage.
Thank you so much, Isheba and Tamoy. Okay, I was gonna say good evening. Good afternoon, everyone. It's because I'm actually on the other side of the world, so I'm confused. So thank you for that welcome and introduction. And let me just say, I have been enjoying the presentations so far. Javaughn, I've met you before and I've always used to seeing you behind the TV screens on Instagram, but I'm very happy that I got the opportunity to, get this kind of dynamic slice of who Javaughn Keyes is, and I'm loving it as a fellow communication practitioner. And Nicholas, also a dear friend and colleague of mine, as you mentioned, my Learn, Earn, Return projects. I remember Nicholas was actually a facilitator, one of the facilitators in that project. So thanks again, Nicholas, for sharing of your entrepreneurship expertise and, immersing in the world of tech. I listened to him a while ago, and I remember, I don't know, high schoolers or tertiary students who are here, we all can relate. Don't know if you had the experience being in high school where there were two poles of IT, technical and general IT. Not sure. Tamoy looking like no, not talk about, but so I remember I was drafted into general IT, and I'm like, these if-then functions, and you're writing down what was to be coding and programming languages, and I'm like, miss, I'm not in that life. And fast forward to 2020 when I'm now at Loughborough, Isheba, and I'm going to slap you on your wrist for that, because Christine and I, our fellow sisters in Talk Up Radio, we attended Loughborough. That's how the British people pronounce
sorry,
it.
Loughborough.
It's Loughborough.
Loughborough. Got it.
But
got
everybody's
it.
now talking about coding and saying, listen, Black people, come in ahead and talk. Caribbean people, we need to be in on these spaces and take advantage of the world of digital, because that's where the money is. That's where you can control processes, and don't feel bad. It's not for everybody, but for the young people and for people who are technologically inclined, we must do what we can to just usher them into these pathways. So Nicholas, big up to you and the work that you're doing, and I know Isheba and other people in the space, if you have that passion and affinity for the IT world, hats off to you. And we want to see more Jamaicans and Caribbean people on the front line dominating tech. Anyways, but let's get to my presentation, and I'll be doing a presentation on rethinking your personal brand. So let me just share my screen. And is somebody else sharing their screen? Okay, good. Right, so while I get that together, I also want to jump out in the party and say, I hear everybody speaking about integrated marketing communications. I'd also like to point out that I was the first cohort, the guinea pigs, as we refer to at CARIM, the Caribbean School of Media and Communication, University of the West Indies. So, I remember when it was August before school started, and they were like, listen, we're doing away with the old programs. We're going to have two programs, journalism and IMC. And people started screaming and panicking. And I'm like, I don't care. I want to go in the pool. That's not journalism. Right. And I haven't regretted it since this day. So now I'll be looking at rethinking your personal brand. And usually a fast talker. I am a fast talker. I struggle to get away from that. But I heard Javaughn say in his presentation, one of the 4 P's, pace. So I'm going to remember to pace myself. And I decided to open with this slide, rethinking your personal brand, and going back to the whole theme of this evening's conversation about dominating in the digital realm, how to dominate in the digital realm. And when you think about how you refine or define your personal brand, especially in the digital space and in the era that we're now in this sort of accelerated digital use where COVID-19 just threw a curveball at us, and now everything is up in virtual. And I just want to remind us that it is an opportunity. So that's why I come with this cliche background with the lemonade or the lemons to remind everybody that when life gives you lemons, you can put the answer in the chat. Since I can't hear you, I want to make sure that it's engaging. I think I'll see the chat after. So just want you to just remember that going forward. No. Give me a second. So I wasn't if the technical of it good, great. So now the second slide has gone because now the presentation stayed as a PDF and I'm very disappointed about that. Canva amateurs, tell them about them. Right, so rethinking, I decided to play with the theme, rethinking your brand. Now, there are several things that I wanted to point out. And I have this figure out list over this corner because there are myriads of presentation on personal branding and how to have a strong, powerful brand and to capture your audience and all that good stuff. But the hardest part of getting to a solid substantive brand is figuring out these things. And the first question, I mean, see, who are you? Tell me about yourself. I dread them in the interviews because I love talking and I hate talking about myself in this kind of way. But I realize, and all of us, you know, it's like going to heaven without, you know, it's like wanting to go to heaven without wanting to die. But you have to answer these questions. And no matter how many presentations, no matter how much workshop, no matter how much book you can listen, Ian Van Slant or Oprah, Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, whatever, you have to figure out these things for yourself. Who are you? What do you want? Who do you want to attract to the kind of brand that you're trying to, you know, to finesse and to create for yourself? What is in it for you? And you may not be able to answer all these questions in one go, but if you are in this moment able to answer at least one, I think that you are on your way to defining your brand, and it's very important. So as I said before, a lot of times we hear it, but one of the things that gives you potency in defining a brand, and especially now in this space where you're stepping out to digital, where it's a sea and it's a competing space, it's ever evolving, it's ever changing, it's rapid, things are happening and you want to catch up, you want to be a part of all of this. But being rebranding or assigning or attributing a brand to yourself is about being intentional. And when you're intentional, you have to plan, you have to prepare, and you have to think. And these are critical questions that you must be wrapping your mind around. It doesn't even matter what age you are. I see everybody talking about their age. My age soon drop off a calendar. Big by 28, 20 great. And that's okay. And I am glad that I had the opportunity and I'm considered relevant enough to be given this conversation. So ladies and gentlemen in the chat, I want you to write it down and make a note of it. If you've never seriously answered these questions before tonight, I want you to think about the answer. And it's not, and the beauty about this answer is that you're not answering it to please anybody. You're answering it to please yourself and to be comfortable. You understand? I'm the type of person where, listen, I don't move until I am ready. Sometimes if people say, Dainalyn, I want you to be a part of this. And if I don't feel driven and the energy, because I operate on energy, and if I don't have the interest and I don't have the passion, you won't get it out of me. Trust me. People who know me, Isheba knows me, you can tell where my energy and my enthusiasm lies. And that's very important, because when you actually exude this kind of energy and you put out effort, then you are actually writing a recommendation for yourself, and that recommendation also filters in the brand that you'll create. So it comes back full circle. So think about who you are, think about what you want. Who do you want to attract with this personal, with this brand? Who are the people that you want around you? And I'm going to get into that conversation. I see somebody raise their hands. I'm going to refer to the chat after that because I don't want time to run out on me. Or you can just drop the comment below, because this is a chit chat. So I think I'm looking forward to the opportunity to have this kind of dialogue. Right. No, this is one of my favorite quotes. You may have heard or seen it before, but I'm showing you again. A flower does not contemplate on the flower next to it. It just blooms. And that's self-explanatory, but I want to dig down into it in a garden. I think we consider these things, they're live organisms, but they're inanimate. But isn't it lovely? Think about the garden. Even look at the picture that's before you. All the individual blooms doing their own thing in their own moment. Why can't we as humans do that? And especially in the digital, as I mentioned before, where it's almost like a competing space. Everybody's doing something. And then a lot of times you get Gigi, Jamaicans say Gigi, because you see Isheba posting about her Empower tees and you didn't want to have an entrepreneurship. Probably it's not t-shirt, or maybe it's t-shirt, and maybe it's not empowering course, but it's another kind of t-shirt, and you're saying like somebody will do that. Even with me as an event host, everybody a host events, everybody is a motivational speaker, everybody's at this, I can't do it. I had those kind of thoughts before, and I said, no, but you are Dainalyn Swaby. So you have to tell yourself, you wait, whatever is your name, insert name, you are Isheba Cornwall, you are Javaughn Keyes. So say it silently to yourself. You are who you are, and understand that a flower does not contemplate on the flower next to it, it just blooms. So you can't be who you are and thinking about another person's move. You have no control over them. You have control over yourself. So just do it. So what I think you should do is, nothing is wrong with taking from another person's success or success story, their approach, and refining it and making something your own. So don't, instead of being daunted by somebody else's progress and what you see other people doing out there, how is it that you can also do something similar but do it differently and look for an opportunity within that same space? And that is you know, a very what would I say, not a clue, but a very critical step and approach in refining and redefining your personal brand in the digital space. What makes you different? And I think it's a follow-on from the previous point that I was just making. How is it that you stand out? So many people are doing, you know, the same things, especially now people are launching a lot of channels, YouTube channels. I'm a podcast host. Everybody's a lot of people launching a podcast. And let me tell you, I just said it and I'm guilty of it when I say everybody is. Don't allow people to make you feel fearful or doubtful when you hear somebody say, everybody do this. Don't internalize and interpret that to mean that means I can't do it. Use it as an opportunity. That means I can do something and do it differently, because you can stop and say, all right, everybody's selling water. How can I make my water and my brand of water different? Everybody is a blogger, or people do blogs. So now make everybody stop you. You understand? Because within everybody, there are individual bodies. Everybody, they have their crowd of people, they have their audience, they have their support system. Just as so in Jamaican parlance, we say every O of them tick a bush. You have to find what works for you. So what makes you different? To give you an example, as I mentioned, everybody I do podcast, and I recognize that I started a career in climate communication. I have this knack for talking. I love chat. If you don't pick up that already, I have radio show experience as a radio co-host for Talk Up Youth, and I have the gift I have. I've been in media, all of that thing, and I recognize that as young people from developing countries, there needed to be a platform to speak about climate change. So I decided to hinge my podcast around that. So in the world where everybody I do podcasts, how many Jamaican people are getting up doing podcasts around sustainable development, around climate change? And that's one example. And I use my own experience being here in the UK, being in an international setting where I'm exposed to different people, meeting people who are doing work related to climate change, to say, why not interview them? Why not spotlight them? Boom, there went Global Yardie. And that's how I use that kind of example and my own experience to create my personal brand and doing something different, even though everybody do podcasts, but doing a different podcast. So that's just one example. So think about that. And I'm going to share another example. Be distinct in digital. That's what I want to leave with you today. So now I shared 3 influencers or persons who are very active in the digital space in different capacities. So Jick Rubin, who's also a colleague and friend of mine, he's a photographer / videographer. Everybody I take picture. But I hope there's engagement in the chat because I can't see it right now. So everybody, I take picture. But what I love about Jake Rubin, and you can follow him on Facebook, Instagram, everything, he does his differently. So he is a visual ninja. That's what he terms himself, and he's an advocate. So everybody, Lord, this is the cliche for the night. Everybody, I say everybody. So he a lot of people describe themselves as storytellers, and we can be storytellers in different ways. The way how I'm delivering this presentation, sharing my experiences, talking about people, I'm sharing a story. But Jake, he also does something special where he partners with a lot of people there and to highlight and to spotlight social issues differently. I think of one of the most recent projects he had, Black Men or Black King Rising. You may have seen it, where he had done some still shots with a group of young men to show about, young men men can be in tune with their feelings and to empower men to stand up in a society where they are kind of being marginalized in some sense. I also know that he had shared stories with people who have gone through mental depression, men not expressing themselves. One of my former Karma colleagues, may her soul rest in peace, who had a rare type of bone cancer, and also a different project where he had spotlighted this young woman. I'm forgetting the name of this long disease, I'm so sorry. But what I'm trying to say is that he, as a photographer, is using his platform and his art to capture very powerful, sensitive, and also critical social impact issues. And then also he has a different flair where he works with a lot of entertainers and does album covers and, for people in dancehall and reggae. So it's about how you define yourself as a photographer. There is climate photography, there is food photography, fashion, all of that. So there's this opportunity. Terry Carell, one of Jamaica's national treasures and a woman that we all love, and a hostess definitely with the mostest. She does her thing differently too. Terry latches herself onto any brand that she represents. So when she's hosting, she does it differently. She's bilingual, and we've seen how she's thrown herself into presentations before and occasions that she has emceed, where she's also speaking Spanish, allowing the guests of honors to feel very welcome and to feel very appreciated, dressing according to the theme and to the brand. And that is something that has helped her to set herself apart from other persons who are doing the same thing. So that's some examples of people being distinct in digital. And I look at Warren Ware as well, former Olympian, but he's also a content creator. And I think I'm a little bit biased throwing it in here. He has a brand new family, and it's so cute for people who may follow them. But I think it's very interesting and in a way where a lot of people are also, content creators, and he now has a family, and he has used this to infuse a different kind of creativity, their family vacations, or even just ordinary days, or just how he packages his product. And in that way, he's also able to show proof of work. These are just 3 limited examples, but I'm hoping that they are powerful and impactful examples to show you that you can be doing the same thing as somebody else, but there's always an opportunity to make it different. So even if you think, I can't think of anything different because of somebody's doing the same thing, by virtue of who you are, how you engage and connect with somebody. So even remember that when you're even trying to dominate in the digital space, your personal mannerisms, your etiquette, how you interact, the recommendation that you have, even I'm assuming many of you are members of the National Secondary Students Council. So even for you, somebody may know you in a friendly capacity, but you're a reliable person. You participate in the group projects. You do what you say that you're going to do. You can, and you're creative. You're always giving a helping hand or something else within your personal brand that is able to transition. That's when you set up shop. And so you're going to do X and Y. You have that support. So sometimes your personality, your character can help to drive your brand, even as you transition in the digital space. So sometimes it's a lot of things to focus on, but there's a bigger picture. It's not always what you want to do, but who you are, what you already bring to the table in pursuing a new project. So that is also important to bear in mind. Now, another thing that is important as you speak about dominating the digital, what is best for your brand? In an earlier slide, I had asked, who are the people that you want to attract? And you have to understand, it's nice, on WhatsApp, you post the funny memes, you post the videos, and you're getting a lot of engagement, Instagram views, Twitter, how many retweets, and all of these things. But I want to tell you that there are influencers and comedians who, you know, they may have made their name, you know, getting the laughs and getting the likes, but a lot of them say, well, this is not all that I am, or there's more to me than this. So sometimes you have to ask yourselves, what is it, and who is it that I want to attract? So even though I get my following here, I'm a popular in this space, are these the kind of people? And it's no disrespect to the audience that you have, but some of us, you know, we laugh, ha 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 ha, but we're not gonna click and buy the things, or, you know, attend the workshop or attend the meeting or something of that sort. So it's very critical that you identify who your active audience is and your true audience base is. So true audience base, and I'll give you an example. With me having a podcast, and I have my social media platforms. So I have people who love and support me, and I'm grateful for that. But sometimes the love and support, which I'm also grateful for again, will just extend to double tapping my picture and sharing the podcast, which I'm grateful for, but not necessarily liking listening to the actual episode. So I'll get the traction on Instagram, which is a highlight reel, because Instagram people love, hi guys, and you post the pretty pictures, nice filters, fashionista clothes and all of that, and you get enough likes because people love them things there. But maybe a LinkedIn, where I want to speak about climate change in a serious capacity, the professional spark, maybe that's where I get the traction. You have Facebook over the friend zone, where the friends cheer you on that you're doing something and you're taking on a new venture initiative. And then you have Twitter, where you can also separate in the bite-sized news pieces and the tidbits. So I gave you that a little bit fast, but I'm just showing you that sometimes there are crossover, and sometimes the same concept of information sharing. But if you really think about it, each platform has its own personality and it's good for something else. So you also have to separate, all right, where you feel comfortable, where your little hangout spot is. But when you come to work and to do business, and when you're chasing an opportunity or want to cement yourself in a different space or a different way, which platform is best? I also want to remind you that you don't necessarily have to establish your brand on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or the works, or other social media. Before this era of digital acceleration, a lot of people are thriving without social media. And even in the digital space is not only limited to social media. Just as how you're on an online meeting right now and participating, these are ways that people can build their brands by networking. So this is almost like a one-to-one where I'm presenting to you, but there may be other Zoom meetings where it's a workshop, it's some sort of marathon, and you have more opportunity to contribute substantively, to volunteer, to register for things, to take on responsibilities, and you become consistent in that regard. That's one way of building your brand, reaching out, have people know you, show them your proof of work, show them what you're about. So think about that always. Don't feel like, oh my God, this person or that person, them just a runner with social media and I'm over here lagging. Stay in your lane and do your thing. And one of the things I also want to remind you, even whether it's online or even social media centric, depending on where you are in your brand definition phase, I just want to remind you right now that proof of work matters. If you love writing, but you're not capitalizing on an opportunity to showcase your work through a blog, the way you caption a picture, or something, then it's hard to be able to convince people that you are about it. You can hear my passion, you hear Nicholas's passion, and you definitely hear Javaugh's passion, but we need passion with proof in the digital space. So always find some way to showcase your work. Quite recently, I had the opportunity of doing that myself, with me being a climate change communicator, being a culture queen, and being a communicator. I just said that. So I love climate change, I love culture, and love to communicate. And I mentioned that in an interview earlier this year, that I want to figure out a way to do this when I did a Corona poem. And then I said, I really need to do a poem on the environment. And there's this recent controversy with the government and wanting to do mining in Puerto Bueno. And a lot of people are saying these big words in this report, we can't understand nothing. So, my friend said, Dana, Lego one poem. And I'm like, guys, I can't do a poem. When somebody asks me, I have to pretend like you never asked me. So I said, all right, fine, pretend like we didn't ask you and do the poem. And then I thought about it, and I said, you know what, this is an opportunity to cement myself and my brand as a culture climate communicator. So I said, all right, let's talk to yourself in your bed. And I did that in less than an hour. And I find it interesting that when I get down to doing something that defines me and I'm about, it happens just like that. And in doing that, a lot of people were able to better understand what the whole fuss was about. And also, more importantly, it helped to cement me to other people like, this girl is capable, this girl has talent. And it's even showing myself, because sometimes you have that fluctuating belief in yourself that you can actually do this and you can take this a step further. Now, want to come to something very critical: your strong tie relationships and your weak tie relationships. This is important in personal branding as well. Your strong tie relationships are friends and family. Your weak tie relationships are your colleagues and your professional associates. No more opportunity to preach little bit here. So now it's great that we have, and we're grateful that we have friends and family who are supportive. I always hear people talking about, oh, friends, and like, you know, you have a business and, you know, like friends always want free things, or certain people are the last to support you. That's okay. Think about it. You have an initiative, you have a business or something else. And if you're expecting all your friends to support, are your friend them alone you establish this thing for? You feel like if you set up a business to make money, are your friend them alone? No, you have to go over and widen your circle to the colleagues and the professional associates. So the categories may sound misleading, but opportunities really come from your weak tie relationship. So weak tie meaning the outer circle, the colleagues and the professional associates that you network with and you meet. Those are the people who are actually like-minded and getting things done and doing things, or going to places that you want to get to. So in the realm of digital, capitalize on the opportunities to meet, engage with these people, and engage purposely. I love chats, and I am an extrovert, and I have no problem going up to people and being, but normally when I speak and engage, it has to be purposeful. So I was never the type of student who needs to run up to a guest presenter if I have nothing to say just to speak to them, or to force myself up in a photo just to speak to somebody. So if it is that their interest and my interest align, it makes for a natural conversation. So figure out if your interests align and if this is somebody that can help you get to the next level. One of the things I forgot to underscore: FOMO, the fear of missing out in digital fatigue and digital exhaustion is real. You don't have to be on all of these platforms, because to tell you the truth, not because the convenience of you not being at the place physically is great, but sometimes you're tired. Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting, you're everywhere. When are you actually gonna have time to sit down and reflect on the brand that you're trying to build if you're just there? Attending 100 presentations and building a personal brand or otherwise means nothing if you don't carve out the time and the opportunity to actually make it work and to define your plans and to really work on that. So don't let fear of missing out, overwhelm you. You're not missing nothing. A lot of these presentations are recorded as well, or if you miss one, you can't miss the other one. So that's something very important. But I want you to leave with this: that your strong tie relationships are good to go. If you find real friends, happy for you. They're not going to change if they're real friends. And your family will always be there. Always work on the people who are doing the things that you want. I hear Nicholas talking about his IT world. My friends and family, climate communication, they can have an appreciation for what I am doing, but they are not in the same space to give me the kind of guidance and connections that I will need to get to the next level. So that is why it's good for you to nurture and maintain the strong ties, but also focus on building out the weak ties and maybe strengthen the weak ties. I don't really like the weak tie name thing, but yes. Also, personal brand resources. A lot of people are doing a lot of things to help to improve and strengthen how you go about defining this brand. Content strategy. You can develop a content strategy for yourself. What if you like posting on social media and you want to be deliberate, you want to be intentional? Listen, you don't have to be no influencer and celebrity to do what they're actually doing. So set out your content strategy. Is Facebook your place? Is LinkedIn your place? Is Instagram your place? What kind of brand do you want to communicate by the end of December, or 6 months time, in 3 months time, in 4 months time? Write down your little goal. Don't laugh at it. Don't laugh. I wish I had it written down, my Bible verse. It's Habakkuk about vision. So just Google Habakkuk and vision, but write your vision on a tablet and make it plain, right? Trust me, it's 2 verses about vision, and I believed in it this year. I wish I had it open, but I'm not saying the importance is writing out these things. How many times a week do you want to post? You want to post your quotes, you want to post a caption, and it all depends on what you want to be. If you want to be an authority on a particular subject, spend your time doing your research. If you want to say this week you're going to be posting about fashion, then you want to look at denim, the evolution of denim, or 3 ways to wear denim. If it is that you want to post about IT like Nicholas did, the evolution of computers, or even what you learned. So there's the opportunity is endless to how you want to structure that. So for some people, figuring it out, it helps when you have a strategy to do so. Branding toolkits, a lot of our local entrepreneurs and authors, I think of Shanique Shad, who has a book, Equipped to Impact, and Naomi Garrick, the PR chick branding guide. You can do your additional research on this. Don't expect everything to always be handed out to you on a silver platter. If you don't like reading and research and you want people to give you everything in one go, you're gonna have a problem. So understand, I was never the type to do spoon feeding, but there are things that you can look into, and there are tons of self-development books, and there are other things, your podcasts, your YouTube channels, and you follow certain people or accounts on social media to find the opportunities to feed and nourish and replenish your mind, because sometimes you feel confident, like today I wake up and feel like I'm ready to take on the world, and next day I just don't go in bed. So I mean, in everything, even in digital, it gets tiring. So you have to find ways to keep yourself energized. And I don't mean like every single day. It's okay to have those days where you feel like, I'm not sure. But one of my favorite things to do is to read Desiderata. So I encourage you to look up that poem. There's a specific verse that says, nurture your strength of spirit to shield you in times of sudden misfortune, and do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Like I said before, a lot is going on. I know I'm probably running out of time. A lot is going on in the digital space, and sometimes you feel like you can't keep up and you can't compete, but it comes from within. No matter how many times people pour into you, if you don't have that confidence to say, listen, I can step out and claim a space in the digital world, then you're going to have a problem. So tell yourself that you can, and you will. I think I may have mentioned this support to find your niche audience and test the waters. Sometimes you won't know if you try. The best way to prove that something can or cannot be done is to try. So if you feel like you want to conquer a space and you say, listen, I want to improve my networking skills, test your waters, see where join the meetings. Don't scroll past, don't sign up and register for the meetings and you don't attend. Maybe if you never attend this week, it's the next week. Definitely plan out your schedule so that you have the time to commit. If it is that you want to work with a particular platform that you think going to give you the juice and the buzz, do so. If you feel like it's not working out, then you try to evaluate and ask questions. Do a look at surveys and a look at Google form. Like, I have a business idea that I'm working on, and instead of just launching it and putting it out there, I'm going to come up with some little questionnaires, and to people who I trust, I send it out and ask them. So you can do that with your brand. Before you put your brand out there, you can develop a questionnaire and have people to tell you the truth and get some pointers and feedback as to how you can improve yourself. So don't be afraid to do that. And finally, just some of the steps to the success and to being the stars that you all are. You have to have courage, be intentional, do it with and without fear. So if you're afraid or you're not afraid, do it anyway. Clarity of purpose. What is your why? So understand what you're doing and what you hope to get out of this pursuit. And a lot of times that helps in ordering your steps. And consistency. Keep at it. You understand? Consistency may be in terms of frequency or the thing that you're doing, the content that you're putting out, the spaces that you want to occupy, and the direction that you want to go. Just keep focused on that. And confession, these 3 things that I'm sharing with you are deeply intimate, because I literally wrote my vision down for this year and I prayed over this and I asked God for courage. I asked him for clarity, and I asked him for consistency. He's given them to me, but consistency sometimes is like a half and half thing. So like, I need to improve on that. I have no qualms in saying that, but I definitely see where there's power in prayer, and me writing these down and being deliberate about it. It's slowly manifesting in an encouraging way. So I'm hoping to just convey that energy to you. And I hope that my presentation was of value to you all. Thank you.
No man, Tamoy. Dana, just give me some energy. And we love to see it. Thank you so much, Dana, for that amazing presentation. There was so much. Oh my God, you guys missed our energy. We're like, energy. Thank you so much for that amazing presentation, Dainalyn. I'm sure everyone learned a lot. The chat is going crazy right now. And, you know, because of the time, we're just going to jump at it. I hope Javaughn and Nicholas are still here. We're just going to be doing the question and answer segment right now. Students, if you're still here, I see that you're still here because you're typing in the text. Just send in your questions to each of the panelists. We cannot take every question. Now, I see, Kristen, is your hand up for a question? Christian, I'm going to let you ask your question because you turn on your camera and you have been so attentive and you've been listening. So you can go ahead and ask your question. Are you able to unmute? Okay, you can go ahead and type your question. If you have any other question, guys, you can go ahead. Nicholas, is it that you provide the questions to her with the responses? Nicholas, that is a question to you as it relates to the bot. Is it that you provide the questions to her with the responses? How it go? Is Nicholas still here? Okay, he's here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, we're hearing you.
Perfect. So Stacy, the way how Stacy's program now is that we provide this entire database to her. So it is populated with, yes, of course, questions and answers. That is the first stage of Stacy. And so as Stacy grows and progresses and interacts with the general public, she'll acquire a lot of nuances and then eventually begin to formulate her or its own questions and answers.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Nicholas. Javaughn, we have a question for you. How do you advise students who are introverts to step out of their comfort zone as it relates to public speaking? You know, what advice do you have for those students?
Start in your small groups. Don't think about it as just taking a big leap, because you see, the thing with change in any space, in anything you do, you have to start small and kind of wean yourself into it. So start by having conversations with a small group of friends, and again, preparation helps you to become more comfortable. So whatever presentation you have, don't take them for granted. Don't take those class assignments for granted. Use that as a preparation ground so you can start to build, and you'll find that you move from being fearful of speaking in front of a crowd of 10 or 15, which was my case when I was growing up, and that's a whole other story, to being able to now speak to people on a national level and not be fearful. Nervousness will still be there, but not be fearful of doing it. All right, so start small and grow into doing it.
Thank you so much, Javaughn. And because we're, strapped for time, we're going to be asking Dainalyn. I hope Dana is still here. Look here, guys. It's probably about 10 p. It's what time now in England?
Yes, it's 40 minutes after 10.
Right. So for you, Dainalyn, we want to know from you. There are a lot of high school students on here, mostly. So is it that you have to wait until you reach university or until you're 25 to start your personal brand? How can you start right now being a high school student?
Absolutely not. I think about you, Isheba, and I mean, I can just think about it's the kind of student you were in high school. So in the same way, there are clubs and extracurricular activities that are there at different institutions. So according to your passions, according to your talents, or whatever, or your interest, align yourself, be a part of those clubs. And listen, look here, this is 2020. We come to take up space everywhere we go. You understand? Even if you don't have the leadership position, you don't have to be president of the club. You don't even have to be the leader of the committee, but you could lead in the kind of role. And I want to really, sometimes it's hard as a festival queen to say this to an audience, because to say to somebody who I have a title and to tell somebody else that you don't have a title, but trust me, you don't need to have a formal title to make a contribution. So young people, nobody feel no nervous, nothing to say. If you're gonna apply for somebody, somebody Prime Minister Youth Award, Governor General Award, Festival Queen, whatever, what you should focus on is proof of work and impact. You know why? I'm in the UK now. And even though for conversation, some people may do their research or it may come up like you're a festival queen, what that means is something nice. Nobody has context. You understand? So those are the things that show you that people can't always relate to that. A Governor General Award, it sounds nice, it tells you that whatever, but if you say, listen, you know, I was a part of a project that, you know, I delivered breakfast in a community or whatever, wow, that's so good. That is so, like, you know, people love those things. So I'm just sharing an example where it's admirable, yes, but don't feel diminished by other people's experience, because I take nothing away from those people. I'm just saying that I get it all the time. People feel less than and feel like, I want to apply for Shevening. Look here, yes, the other day when I asked one of my fellow Shevening scholars who nobody knows nationally, what were some of his leadership experience, but they want to check with myself kindly and sit down. You know, right? Because I'm saying it's what you do. Sometimes it's who you are is important, but what you do. So that's why I was saying proof of work. So in high school, just be substantial. Nobody go a club meeting or write down your name and come out like some of the delinquent them way. You understand? Do something, and then you will be, and it's gonna be easier for you to speak about that experience and to show people this is what you do. Don't feel daunted. I'm sorry, and I'm gonna wrap up now. When they say, oh, you just graduated from university or high school and you want X years experience. The trick is that them knows you don't have no work experience. They want to see how you have been using your time. That's all.
Thank you so much, Dana. And before I, give this over to Tamoy, I want to encourage you. I just want to reiterate what Dainalyn said. Now, I met Dainalyn when I was 15 years old. At 15 years old, I was on the Talk Up Youth show on TVJ. I don't know if you guys remember that show. As well as I am a co-host on Talk Up Radio along with Dainalyn, and I'm just 19, right? So these are I started that when I was at Excelsior High School. So these are some of the things that you can participate in right now to build your brand. Now, before I hand over to Tamoy as well, somebody's asking in the chat who won the shirt. I actually have the winner. So the winner of the shirt from Empower Youth Tees is the name is _CAM_EO. So whoever is underscore, I think it's cameo _CAM_EO, just DM the Empower Youth Tees page with your information and we will reach out to you. Over to you, Tamoy.
All right. So congrats to the winner. And thank you so much, Javaughn. Thank you so much, Nicholas. Thank you so much, Dainalyn. And you know, Dana, you said something that really resonated with me about not really waiting forever to start what you have to do and jumping in there and taking advantage of what's happening now. I remember I just left Wolmer's and I'm in my second year of law school, but when the COVID-19 pandemic kind of started up, I really wanted to help students and I wanted to do something different. And I said, you know what? Everybody can go to a class for a math or an IT or a science, but I don't see classes for literatures in English. I don't see classes for literature students. And I love lit. Lit is lit. And I just love it so much. And so what I decided to do was I borrowed my mother's laptop and sometimes I'd go to my neighbor's house because slow flow is what I have. And I would teach students on Zoom, literatures in English. We go through poems, drama, and multiple choice questions. And right now, when you go on my Instagram, I brand myself as a literature student. I had a student messaging me last week, when are you going to start back the classes? No, unfortunately, because law school is stressing, I'm going to start it in December. But it was just the fact that you don't have to wait so long and take advantage of the circumstances. COVID came and everything, and I didn't want to just be a regular law student. I wanted to be a law student plus tax. So you really inspired me. Javaughn is inspiring me, and Nicholas is inspiring me. And I just want to thank you guys so much. And guys, you can go to my class in December, free. But now we're going to give away prizes. Now, I hope you are listening. I'm gonna ask this question.
Let me look for the winners.
Ready? And Isheba's gonna look in the chat and tell me who won the prize. Now, Mr. Keyes in his presentation would have listed the 4 P's of communication. There is pitch, there are pauses. What are the other 2? So there are 4 P's in communication. I gave you pitch, pauses, and I want you to tell me the other 2.
You have to put the other 2. What is it? Wait. Okay.
Posture and proper pronunciation for peace.
We're deliberating. Let us turn off we don't want them to hear the answer.
So we have a winner. Naomi, you win. Or you'll be winning what? What we're going to give her, Isheba. We have a lot of prizes
Right.
here.
So we have a lot of prizes. So Naomi, you are the winner of a new earphone sponsored by Digicel. Wait, I hope you guys can see it. So it's a new earphone sponsored by Digicel, right? So you can just DM us on Instagram your information. Remember, I know it's very important that you DM us so that you can get your prize. So you just won earphone from Digicel. All right. So we're going for the next question.
Listen now. So what is the name of Dainalyn Swaby's podcast, and what is the area in which she focuses the podcast on? She loves a lot of things, but this podcast is all about giving people information on this particular issue. It starts with a C. I give you a little hint, but I needed to tell me the name of the podcast.
Remember the name, and so you can't just, guys, you have to give the name of the podcast as well. Woo! Amelia Ferron is our winner.
Yes, Global Yadi, and she focuses on climate change. Isheba, can you tell us what our winner won?
So it's Amelia, right?
Yes.
So Amelia, you will be getting your earphone sponsored by Digicel as well. Congratulations.
Now the last question.
One more question.
I am the execution of a number of steps or instructions which are carried out by devices. What am I? I'm the execution of a number of steps or instructions carried out by devices. What am I?
Whoa, it's this, right? Okay, but who was the first? Thiana. Thiana is the first person who got
Congrats, Thiana. Yes, the answer is an algorithm. Tell us what Thiana won, Isheba.
So Thiana, you will be getting a fanny pack, as well as we will be giving you a pop socket sponsored by Digicel as well. All right, so remember, guys, all our winners, congratulations. We really do appreciate you participating. But before we're not the giveaway, not really finish yet, you know. So we have 2 more things to give away. And because we're going to end, we'll be giving away a credit, and we'll also be giving away another pop socket, right? So make sure you're following NSSC's Instagram page and comment. You're going to DM us and tell us why you should get this pop socket. That is all you're going to do. All right, that's pretty simple. All right, so we'll be giving away the credit now. Take out your phones. Digicel credit. Ready? 1, 2. Wow, it actually starts with 1, 2. 1 2 102 8812 9597. Tell me if anybody got that.
I felt like a tongue twister.
That was a tongue twister, yes. Anybody got the credit? No, we're going again. 1 2 102 8812 9597. Woo! Desmarie Ingram got the credit. Guys, I know you're asking about another network. However, today we're sponsored by Digicel, the bigger, the better network. Thank you so much for tuning in to our chit chat session put on by the National Secondary Students Council, Rethink Youth, Students' Position to Dominate the Digital Realm. We would like to thank our presenters for today, Dainalyn Swaby, Javaughn Keyes, and Nicholas Key, for taking the time out. We know you're busy, but we really do appreciate you coming here and presenting. Do you have anything to leave with?
Absolutely, Aishi, but we also have to thank our amazing students. You guys stayed tuned through and through. You were attentive, you were answering questions. Kristen, Theodore, I see you. Elena, everyone, thank you so much. Thank you to the National Secondary Students Council for conceptualizing this idea to help our young people to rethink and students' position to dominate the digital realm. It was absolutely a pleasure, Isheba. Really did like us. I think everybody was top tier.
Definitely. And so, Kristen, we do see your question. All you have to do is DM us on Instagram. We will reach out to you. That's all you have to do. All right. So thank you so much for staying with us. We are your hosts for this evening. I am Isheba Cornwall.
And I am Tamoy Campbell.
And we are tuning out. Have a good day.